What's going on, everybody? It's Childish. We're back at it again with part 2 of that critical thinking series, talking about those units that have skills that scale with the enemy's max HP. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you haven't seen the original video, I will go ahead and put a link in the top right of this video so you can go ahead and check it out. We focused on talking about the pros and cons of units that scale with enemy's max HP. In addition to that, talking about the fire, water, and wind units that all have skills that are based on enemy's max HP. Now, today's video is going to be very, very special for me because we're talking about the light and dark units, units that are neutral, that's going to provide more value in where you can use it, right? As you guys know, when it comes to the first three elements, those are the most common elements, but they are elements that you're going to benefit from being able to have that elemental advantage towards it, whereas the light and the dark ones, they're neutral towards everything, with the exception of their counterpart, either light to dark or dark to light. But for the most part, you're going to find a little bit more value out of it because of its neutrality and be able to use it in multiple aspects of the game. So let's get right to it. Let's start with the light monsters. Again, part of that light elemental family, we got ourselves Puree. Again, just like the other elements that we took a look at, having the continuous damage for 2 turns with a critical hit. And then the element explosion, this is common for both the fire, water, and the light. Okay, damage based on enemy smash HP. But what makes this unit unique is it decreases the inflicted damage from water, fire, and wind attributes by 20%. So again, this is an attack-based unit. We're generally not building this in a squish, in a tanky fashion, but it is kind of unique in nature that it does have a passive that's gonna, you're gonna be able to take advantage of it. Is this something that I would looking to build for mid to late game, late to end game? Probably not. I think you're gonna find a couple more units out there that are gonna be better out there. But maybe if you haven't been too fortunate enough to get yourself a decent, just a random decent unit climbing up. Maybe you pull this one in your first light and dark scroll. This is a unit that you're going to find a little bit of value of early on if you're playing around in the lower to mid stages of Kyber Dungeon, because again, it's providing you that continuous damage if you land a critical hit, a way of reducing damage versus the water, wind, and fire elements, which is going to be the all the elements that are utilized in the giants stages climbing up. And then, of course, if you're fighting different elemental halls, water, fire, wind, whatever, you're going to find a little bit of value in that. Okay. Next one up is a unit that I have and haven't actually done any testing. Reefy beat me to the punch. You guys should know who Reefy is, former Summoners War YouTuber that recently quit, unfortunately. But, one of the last few videos that he made, he did some testing when it comes to this unit. With regards to what this, why did he do some testing? We're definitely going to talk about that. This is one of the, I want to say 2 or 3 units out there that have skills. I think this might be one of the 2 units out there. I'll have to take a look, but I think this is one of the few units out there that has 2 skills based on enemy smash HP. So the first skill, Agrasat, having a 30% chance to land a critical hit. Second skill, doing damage according to the enemy's max HP. Okay, we love that stuff. And then last but not least, another skill doing damage proportionate to enemy's max HP and stunning the enemy for 1 turn. Now, why is this so nice? Because if we're playing around with this in a dungeon that has high HP units, okay, Hall of Water, TOA Hard, Drags V10, having 2 skills that are providing enemy's max HP is really, really nice, and the damage over time is going to be really, really strong. Okay, so again, if you're one of those fortunate people that have some strong units to get, a good amount of critical rate, critical damage, and are looking for just a key unit to kind of throw in your Dragons V10 team, and you're fortunate enough to pull it, her damage multipliers are pretty nice, and then the fact that she has 2 skills that are based on that is going to really really benefit you a lot. So again, it has a universal leader skill, but it's pretty weak in nature. I'm not going to see too much value out of it in the mid to late stages. There's a couple of leader skills out there that's going to provide more value, but if you don't have anything better, then we can't deny the fact that attack power of Valor Masters, any kind of benefit, any kind of bonus is going to be pretty unique. So big fan of this. Second and third skill based on enemy max HP. I love it. And it's relatively easy to skill up because the unit is a 3-star unit, and you can get those common units when you summon. If you're fortunate enough to pull them on an unknown score when you get lightning, so on and so forth. Okay, let's take a look. All right, next one up, we got ourselves Marble. Marble, the light battle mammoth here. It is first skill battle charge, being able to provoke the enemy with a 50% chance, which this goes up to about 80, I believe. Next one up, we have a skill that's going to provide great damage based on your max HP. Take note of that. That's your max HP, not the enemy's max HP. And then also has an opportunity to reduce the attack bar by 25% on all enemies here. And then last but not least, this has a skill that is kind of unique in nature, not just proportionate to your max HP, but the enemy's max HP as well. So the cool thing about this unit is, guys, is that even though you don't see this in the meta, people are not playing around with this one. The fact that it has a skill that is based on both, and then with this one here, being built on its max HP as well, allows you to build this relatively tanky and still get value out of 2 and 3, both skills here, while still finding additional value on the enemy's opponents that have a ton of HP. So again, if you've ever played around with this in the TOA 50 plus or the Dragons V10, you will see this one put out some really good numbers when it comes to this third skill set. Again, it's a 3-star unit, not too rare, but it is a light and dark unit. So again, do you see this one in the mid to late game? Nah, not too much. But the fact that it is pretty unique, and I like the fact that it is both based on your max HP, and then having that bonus here with the enemy's max HP allows you to build it in a tanky fashion and still get value out of it. When it comes to that bruiser aspect and providing decent damage, just overall, whether it's PvP or PvE. Okay. Next one up, we got ourselves the Light Gryphon. We got ourselves Shaman. All right, Shaman. So let's take a look at the skill set. Similar to the Fire one, Spectra has the damage based on according to attack speed. That Special Assault, similar to Spectra, dealing damage based on enemies' max HP. Okay. Then last but not least, it has a passive that's going to provide additional resistance and decrease the inflicted damage from dark monsters by 50%. So pretty unique. And then of course a leader skill that's going to provide attack power for all units with a lighter trivia by 30%. So, overall, again, this is providing you that enemy's max HP. Even though it's pretty, you can see some value out of it in the PvE setting, because of the fact that the Fire one, Spectra, has that same type of skill set with a way of reducing the attack bar and speed. You're going to see this utilized way more than the light one. The only time that I've ever seen anybody play around with this particular unit is using it in maybe certain dungeons that have all dark elements. That being said, I really do believe that there's way more better options as far as light units that you can use, even units that provide like a 3-star like light fairy units that provide that invulnerability to allow you to focus on all those dark units on you while not taking damage. I feel that there's a couple other better options, but again, this is a unique unit, and if you are trying to utilize it in a certain setting that's going to provide you want a unit that's going to provide you enemies damage based on enemies max HP, okay, this one could be the one for you. Okay, next one up, we got ourselves, I think it's the Light Warbearer. Is it Lucia? All right, and we got ourselves Lucia up in here. Lucia's first skill, doing damage based on your max HP, okay, with a 50% chance to reduce the enemy's attack bar by 25%. It has that self-defense buff with HP recovery by 30%. And last but not least, the damage proportion to the enemy's max HP, but also consumes 10% of your HP. The fact that it has that reduction of the HP is obviously not favored, but it does have a way of self-sustaining, getting that HP back. And overall, this is kind of unique but monster, but it's more of a bruiser kind of tank. And so you're not going to see too much value out of it in stages where you want to use the most, because it's kind of selfish like that, the skills that it brings. There's other units out there that is having the enemy's max HP, and the kits that it brings provides a lot more value in wherever you're fighting, whether it's Dragons V10 or TOA or whatever. So, but overall, real unique. It does have the universal leader skill for 50% monsters. So if you are fortunate enough to, I don't say fortunate enough, maybe unlucky enough to pull this one as your first light and dark scroll as you summon, this could be, one of those fodder, farmers for you. It'd be a very slow one, but you can use it because it does have, its kit overall, having the HP leader skill, damage based on its HP, a heal with a defense, and then of course the skill here, pretty unique. So yeah, that's the light warbear. Right. Next one up is, I believe this was my first light and dark scroll that I pulled. It was the light Grim Reaper Prom. Now the light Grim Reaper Prom is not one that's really talked about all too much, but it is something to mention because it all depends on how you go about using it. Now, let's take a look at it. Okay, first skill, doing damage, and then it gets an additional turn if the enemy dies. This is obviously a great thing because an attack-based monster, you're generally building in an attack fashion. So if you do enough damage to kill the monster, having additional turns obviously is just a great thing, and reduces your cooldown times of your second and third skill respectively. Next one here, Deadly Swing, doing damage to all enemies with his Deadly Scythe, and then it always lands a critical hit if the enemy's HP is 30% or lower. Okay, I'm not too concerned about the enemy's HP being 30% or lower, but the fact that it does an AoE is always a great thing. Then last but not least, this is a really unique kit. AoE attack, decreasing the defense for one turn and stunning them. Okay, and notice there's not a percentage chance as far as that based it on the defense and the stun. So there's a really high chance, or there's a better chance of this landing more so than not. Obviously, you're gonna have to deal with your accuracy versus the opponent's resistance. But that being said, considering it's a 3-star monster and there's no percentage-based chance to land this stun and defense break, I find it very valuable. And then of course, it is a skill that has provided the enemy's max HP, damage proportion to the enemy's max HP, so that's unique in nature. However, considering the fact that this has, a very unique kit, 2 AoEs, stuns, defense break, I think this particular unit, you're going to find a ton of value in that TOA setting, more so the TOA hard, because if you're trying to get value out of the enemy's max HP, is great. But if you're playing around with it in TOA setting and you're looking for a unit that is going to provide you 2 ways of potential AoE stuns, if you run it with a Despair set, then you can see where you can get value out of this skill. That being said, all the Grim Reavers are relatively squishy in nature. They are attack-based monsters. So consider that the fact, depending on where you use it, you have to build this in such a way that is going to allow him to stay alive. Of course, if you're creating a composition that is primarily CC based, you might be able to get away with going with a CC approach and keeping the opponents locked down so you don't have to worry about getting hit. All right, next one up here. We got ourselves the rarest Valkyria, or second rarest, I guess you could say light and dark here. We got ourselves a Chroma. Now a Chroma, again, a very unique unit. Definitely want to go ahead and mention into it because it has that skill set. Just like all the Valkyrias, the first skill attacks, and if you kill them, you get that chain-like effect. This one here permits the unit from using skills with cooldowns for 2 turns. And then it has a damage based on the enemy's max HP. So preventing the skills with cooldowns for 2 turns, I feel that is really unique. Any time to lock the opponent down, silence them down, and not allow them to use their game-changing skills is pretty unique. Of course, last but not least, God Shield, extremely strong passive, gaining immunity against all harmful effects. And this also has a chance of additionally, the chances of the allies receiving a critical hit is reduced. So that's pretty unique, especially if you're playing around with it in a PvP setting. Now, last but not least, we got that HP leader skill when it comes to this unit, and a 44% leader skill, one of the highest HP based leader skills for the arena. Really unique. Again, this is an extremely rare unit, and it is in the PvP setting, so you're not going to get a lot of value out of this skill versus the enemy's max HP unless you're going up against an opponent that is relatively tanky in nature. But we want to go ahead and mention it because it does fall in the family of the enemy's max HP. Okay. Next one up, we're moving on over to the dark units. Okay, and this is they've got some units here that I'm definitely a fan of, and I want to go ahead and mention these. This is when we were talking about units that scale with enemies at max HP early on in the game. This is one of the first units that got talked about because this was a unit that is a 2-star, easy to obtain, and you can find benefit with both skills because of the fact of its passive. So let's take a look at his passive. Okay. It gains immunity against freeze and stun effects, and your attacks deal additional damage proportionate to the target's max HP. Okay, so regardless of the fact that this unit is a defense-based monster, And the damage for the second skill is going to do more according to the defense. You're going to get overall a little bit of added bonus because you're going to do additional damage proportionate to the target's max HP. Now, overall, I thought the damage was pretty decent. I know some may argue the fact that its ability to scale, having additional damage versus a skill that has just straight damage proportionate to the max HP. You're going to see a little bit of a bump in damage, but it's not going to be as much as the units that have enemies max HP scaling seals, not just additional damage as you can see here. But overall, because of the fact that it provides it in the passive versus a particular skill, allows you to still do some decent damage with both the skills, despite the fact that one is based off of defense and one is not. So again, 2-star monster. You may pull it in the I think it's a dungeon. You can pull it in the dungeons with the secret dungeons on the Hall of Dark Days. So really unique. If you get one, build one, have fun with it. But again, overall, I think there's some other unique units that you probably going to find not just value in a situation like Dragons B10, but also in other aspects of the game. Okay, so let's see. Next one up, we got ourselves the Dark Imp Champion Loki or Loke. Now this is a unit that I did pull, but I haven't. I basically kind of pulled and scaled up, but have not, had the opportunity to test because I don't have a ton of fodder to do that. But we'll take a look at its skill, and maybe down the road we'll play around with it. First skill, like the other M champions, increasing the attack power for 2 turns if you land a critical hit, and providing the continuous damage. Second skill, also providing that continuous damage, but this skill is based on the target's max HP, so that's where it comes in unique. And then last but not least, the Spirit Shower attacks the enemy 5 times by throwing a javelin and providing continuous damage for 3 turns with a 50% chance for each attack. So you got, again, 3 different ways of providing continuous damage, but the third skill is a random attack. This is what kind of pulled me away from it. I thought it was a unit similar to the old school, Water Imp, being able to hit one unit 5 times and providing continuous damage. Obviously, with the big change back in late December of 2014, they kind of veered away from units like that. And now any kind of skill like this, where they do multiple hits, similar to that water one that we discussed in the last episode, it's doing random attacks. So you're not gonna see yourself like a big amount of stacks on the continuous damage. That being said, it is a dark unit, so you can find value out of it in multiple element halls and dungeons or whatnot. But again, I think there's some other better units, more notably the Yaku. If you're playing around with the Dragons B10 team, that you're going to find a little bit more value because of the fact that it ignores defense versus just providing continuous damage. The multiplier on this skill is actually pretty good, but again, ignoring defense versus continuous damage, I like the opportunity to do that. Okay. Next one up here is a unit that we got last year when it comes to the Hall of Heroes. It is the Dark Magic Knight Lynette. For some of you guys in the news of game, you might be familiar with this unit. The water-based unit, Lapis, is the one that we got when we cleared the second big stage there. I think it was Mount Sis. Now this unit here, the dark one here, is pretty unique, and I'm a big fan of it. This one here, single target attack for 2 turns, or sorry, 2 times, and then it has that attacking all enemies on the 3rd attack. A skill that's going to hit multiple times here and provide the HP recovery for 2 turns with a 50% chance. And last but not least, doing the damage based on the target's max HP, and it also heals 30%, all allies for 30% of the damage dealt. So now let's not forget that leader skill. This is a pretty unique unit. Now we can make an argument for, since it is dark, you can make an argument for any aspect, but the cool thing about this one is I find that it can provide a little bit of value, not just for Dragons B10, TOA, or but in addition to Rift of Worlds. Okay, so if we're playing around with a despair kind of setup here, having a unit that's going to have an AoE in the first skill, it's really unique, and that's more opportunities to get that despair stun in. A unit, when we're looking at the TOA hard 50 plus, skills that provide damage according to target's max HP is going to provide quite a bit of value on this damage. Okay, and then again, if we're playing around in a necropolis setting, having 2 skills with multi-hits is obviously very good. Rift of Worlds, this one is also good. You're going to find some benefit on that because Rift of Worlds, even though the damage versus target's max HP is not as high because it's split in three, because you got three monsters there. You still can put out some pretty good numbers, and the fact that it provides a heal allows you to create a team that is going to transition you from that 4 support, 2 defense, or 2 like DPS team to possibly like go with a 3-3 setup, or maybe if you are utilizing a safe team with early on in the game where with multiple supports and maybe only one strong DPS, being able to take out one of the support that's providing you some heal and throwing this unit in, you're still going to get that hit point disturb, but it's pretty crucial in the Rift of Worlds. And of course, the scale with the damage scaling on that third skill is pretty darn unique. And again, it provides you a little bit of heal, so it's going to help out when your healers' skills are down or on cooldown. And again, last but not least, having that attack speed leader skill is obviously great if you're looking for a team composition that needs to bring that speed leader skill for your Rift of Worlds. So overall, I like it. Okay. Next one here, this one is definitely, I always say this, but it's one of my favorite units. Probably one of the best units out there, if not the best units out there for that Dragons B10 dungeon when it comes to the kit that it brings, okay? Luna, the Dark Puree. Now, I'll do it again. I've done it in every single video that we talked about the Dark Puree. I want to give a shout out to Zaomi from the Guild Fury, who was the one that made a video way back when and showcased this unit for me. And because of the fact that I saw his video, that's when I decided to make my team with that particular unit, and it allowed me to reduce my fastest run from like a minute 5 to right around 44 seconds now with this particular unit here. So let's take a look at the skill set. Throwing 2 cards, having a 50% chance to remove a beneficial effect. And then skill set here, we got a continuous damage with the enemies to the enemy with 3 turns with 80% chance. Last but not least, Dark Force locks down the enemy with the power of darkness and decreasing the attack bar by 50%. This increases your attack bar by 100% if you use with full HP. Okay, so let's break this down for people that are trying to find a unit for Dragons V10, right? We have ourselves a skill that is doing damage, even though, when you take a look at this skill, there's no indication that says it is doing damage based on the enemy's max HP. But what CompTOS has neglected to mention is the fact that it does do damage. Now, if you saw my original video with regards to the Dragons V10, in the first stage, you saw Luna doing upwards of, I think it was like a 50, 53, 55K. I know I've built her in such a way that she's done upwards of like 66K. And 66K, you're looking at almost, 30 to 40% of the damage of the boss, right? I think the Dragon's boss is in that 120 to 130K. So you're looking at doing anywhere from like 35 to 45% of the damage of the boss. And so the fact that it has that crazy high scaling with not just attack power but enemy's max HP, has the reduction of the attack bar on the opponent as well as increase your attack bar if you're getting that first turn, is pretty unique. Why? Because if you're creating it in a speed-like fashion, making it in like a YOLO combo, like a Vertihill is going to push the envelope when it comes to the attack bar increase, getting your units to go first. And if you get that jump on the boss and having an opportunity to hit them before they hit you and you're full HP, you're going to be able to follow through with either second or third skill. Now, early on, this is going to provide you a good amount of DPS. Let's say that you don't have a combination that kills it within the first go around, but because of the fact that you might be bringing a unit such as Tark, which is a very common unit out there for speed-based runs, he has the opportunity to pull this unit and provide you the 50% chance to remove the beneficial effects. So if you can't clear it in time, where the Dragons puts that immunity off, you have the opportunity of removing it and continuously and giving you more opportunity to finish the Dragons V10 with flying colors. Because again, now that you've removed the immunity, you can provide the defense break and secure the win. So that is a really unique unit. This unit scales really high, not just in PvE, but PvP because of the fact that it's also based on attack. Okay, so if you guys have seen me in my arena videos, she's been hitting other monsters out there in upwards of 45 to 50k HP. I mean, she's one-shotting units. The fact that she can one-shot units in the arena, but also do upwards of like 50% of damage on the dragon boss and this is of course attack buff, defense break, branding. I'm throwing all of them into the mix. This makes this one of the top, my personal pick as far as the top 5 units in that category of skills that have scaling abilities with enemies max HP. Because again, generally speaking, this is enemies max HP skills are generally used in the PvE, but the fact that this is based on attack and enemies max HP, you can use it in PvP and PvE. Okay, so Trinity, like the other Valkyrias, you got that first skill that's going to attack with a regular hit, and if you kill, you can go ahead and chain with this skill, giving you the opportunity to go ahead and get your hit points back, recover HP by 30% of the inflicted damage. So if you have this built in a very high damage fashion, then you're gonna get yourself that vampiric effect and keep your unit alive. Last but not least, you got the skill Ragnarok, doing damage to both allies and enemies by 50% of their HP, and then the enemies receiving massive additional damage. Even though it doesn't mention it, this does fall into the category of units that have skills that are based on the enemy's max HP. So rather the fact that this one doesn't say based on enemy's max HP, the fact that they're losing 50% before you get the attack in is pretty interesting. So overall, again, it is a PvP based unit, so it's not one of those game changers that you can use in multiple aspects of the game. You're going to see this only utilizing the PvP, but we want to go ahead and mention to it because it has a skill that it scales according to that enemy's match HP with regards to that third skill. So that is pretty much it, guys. That is it for the light and dark units that have skills based on the enemy's max HP. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for this 2-part episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and smash that like button. And if you haven't already, go ahead and follow me on Facebook and Twitter so I can give you guys some sneak peeks on what's going down for the rest of the week. All right, that is it. I am done. It's your boy Childish, or Childish Plays, checking out. Take care, and we will see you in the next episode. I'm out.